Hey everyone, welcome to Rainbow Soulstrology. I'm Bright Hawk, and together with Hollis Taylor, we bring you weekly astrology that's accessible, inclusive, and totally down to earth. Hollis is a seasoned astrologer and psychic medium. I'm a musician, artist, and storyteller who loves making the cosmos relatable. We're both passionate teachers who love answering your questions and helping you navigate life through the stars. Each week we start with a guided meditation to tune in to the planetary energies. Then we dive into the week's cosmic forecast, offer horoscopes for every sign, and always make time for your live questions. Whether you're brand new to astrology or you've been following the stars for years, we create a welcoming space where everyone belongs. Our different perspectives and styles come together to give you a well-rounded cosmic experience. Welcome to Rainbow Soulstrology. Let's get centered, tune in, and explore what the universe has in store for us this week.
Hello. Welcome everyone to Rainbow Soulstrology Forecast. We are excited to clue you into what's happening this week, and we're excited to help you get connected to the stars and navigate the end of this Mercury Retrograde. Bet you're glad to hear it's the end, eh? Okay, well, this is the end. So we are going to be talking about that. But before we get started, let's take a moment to have a little meditation about the main theme this week, okay? So we're going to enjoy Bright Hawk's music.
Beginning with a nice big breath and just
And as you take a deep breath and you settle into your body, allow the tension to roll off of you. And as you feel your body relaxed and calm, you can imagine yourself deep in outer space, in the darkness, and as you float in outer space, you recognize a planet sort of traveling backwards towards you. And it is certainly the planet Mercury. And as it gets right in front of you, it pauses, suspending itself, pausing the energy. And as you take a deep breath, it slowly starts to go forward. And the entire time, you've noticed a big blue triangle in front of you. A blessing that you're headed towards. A Grand Trine. When things come together easily, when things start to unfold, when we find resolution to our biggest struggles during this Mercury retrograde, during this transit, we have been blessed with this energy of helping things come together, helping things manifest and push you into your tomorrow. And in this moment, you recognize that the universe truly has your back, that it is leading you and guiding you to the perfect expression of yourself. Grateful, and you hear the whisper, no doubt the universe is unfolding exactly as it should. Body, allowing yourself to come back to this here and now, being present with yourself. I invite you to take a deep breath. Stretch your fingers and wiggle your toes and come back into the here and now. Great job, Bright Hawk.
Well, thank you very much. Always a pleasure.
Oh my goodness, my friends. Oh goodness. I know that we all have a lot going on right now, right? Lots going on. You're probably feeling super intense, lots of things happening. I'm sure it's been super busy for you this month of November. And as we close into the end of this Mercury retrograde, the last couple of weeks of it, we are going to see resolution. which I think in a lot of ways is relieving. And my life is hilariously aligned with with, with astrology. And I don't know if it's because at this point, Bright Hawk, I don't even remember living a life without astrology. So it's hard for me to like think about it. But yeah, but my life has become, I've become at least more aware of the transits, and therefore maybe seeing the connections a little bit better. It definitely helps me navigate through moments like this. Through these moments when I know that it's Mercury retrograde, when I know I don't take things so personally, um, and I tend to recognize that there's an end. Um, and you
lasts forever.
and you usually know when the end is. That's why we try to make sure we tell you. So if you don't know, technically it comes out this weekend, November 29th, 28th, 29th. But the whole transit will be completed December 16th, which is like you will begin your resolution, your problem solving now. Now is the end, but it may not be totally complete until December 16th. Okay? And I know our life is like, I don't know, what do you think, Bright Hawk? Aligned to the day? To the day. To the day, I think it is aligned. Um so it's hilarious how interesting astrology is unfolding for you. So pay attention to the dates, you know. Mark those dates on your calendar. If you have an electronic calendar, you can easily just put the day in there, put a couple reminders throughout the day so you can take a look. We've put the dates here at the bottom for you. So you can take a look there. It says mark your calendar. Saturn goes direct November 27th. You probably won't feel that on the day, but you'll feel it in the weeks after because, well, I'll talk about that in just a minute. And then Mercury direct, that's going to happen this weekend. So you'll probably feel that like maybe the day before, like the 28th, 27th for some of us. Some of us may not be totally in resolution until the 30th or, you know, a day or so after it. Okay. It just depends on how much cardinal or fixed energy you have. And that's something I can teach you about real quick. If you look at your natal chart and depending on what program you're using, there should be able to be a way to see how much cardinal energy you have, how much fixed, and there should be like a little box that says fixed, cardinal, or mutable. And if you tend to be more cardinal, you'll be first. If you tend to be more mutable, it'll happen right about on time. And if it's fixed, it might not happen till the day after. Okay, so it just might mean things are a little bit faster. It may also depend. Another way you can look at it if you don't have that box on your chart, but you're looking at your circle chart, another way to do it is to figure out what your ruling planet is. And whatever your ruling planet is tends to speak to your, you know, your like how fast things go. And the funny thing is that it may also have something to do with like what exactly is going on. For me, most of the time I'm pretty ahead of the game, but not always. And there are times that it's more on time for me. And every now and again, it'll be late. And usually when that happens, I'm like, what's going on? But then it just it's like the next day and then it's fine. But that happens like 1 in 10 times, where most of the time I'm ahead of the game. But that's not always a great thing because then it happens and then I hear the astrology report and I'm like, oh yeah, that happened to me yesterday. Right. Okay. So just go with the flow. Know that it's not always on the exact day. There's a lot of planets gearing up to go direct. We've been in a retrograde pattern for quite some time. We've been reviewing, we've been revealing, we've been all over the place, redoing. I mean, if it begins with RE, we've been doing it, right? So, in everywhere in our personal lives and even in our culture, right? In the United States, we've been taking a look at some of the other things, such as like, the news and stuff like that. Maybe we've revisited some old news. We've been doing the Epstein files for weeks now. That's all part of the retrograde. So notice retrograde is spelled RE, and it usually also speaks to those words that begin with RE, right? So that's review, revisit. So you want to think about that. So just because something is retrograde, like a lot of us think that means it's bad. That's not really that accurate. That's not an accurate way to look at a retrograde. When you think about a retrograde, no matter what planet it is, it usually makes us go over that area again to make sure we get it right so that we can get on the right track. Okay. So when a planet is in retrograde, it's usually having us review that sign and that energy. And so with Mercury retrograde, Mercury usually deals with communication and transportation. And so what ends up happening is, because most of the time Mercury is direct and we freaking love it, right? We love Mercury because most of the time it helps us communicate, helps us get online. Our computers are working great. Our computers are online. Our car is working correctly. And then Mercury stops and goes retrograde. And next thing we know, our car broke down and we have to get something fixed. And now oh my gosh, we're going over this again. And oh my gosh, this again. And right. And that's the part. It's just, so if you instead see it as, oh, okay, I guess I missed these parts. Let me go ahead and do these pieces and then it will be better. And I think that is the power of knowing the astrology. So once you know that it's true, you can also know that there's an end and that you'll eventually come to resolution, especially in the beginning when you're like, oh my God, is there any hope in hell that I'm going to get through this? Right? Maybe you felt like that this way. So I want you to know that the resolution is in the future. The resolution is happening. Okay. And so when it's happening, my dog is currently resolving his thirst. Okay. So, apparently he's very thirsty. So Mercury retrograde that's really what it's about. And Saturn retrograde is the same thing. It's just a slightly different. Saturn rules a different set of things. It usually rules our government, right? And things like that. Okay. Our system. It rules teachers. It rules karma and things like that. Okay. So on Monday, I mean, really honestly, we have this Grand Trine in the sky that's been going on for most of this Mercury retrograde. I think all of it. And frankly, it's quite beautiful. It's a blessing, frankly. And it's going to be there for the rest of this week. It will break up at the end of this Mercury retrograde, but I feel like this Mercury retrograde has really put us on track. It's really gotten you on track of where you belong and how to manifest your next chapter. And that's really been the job of this, right? It's review. It's had you review your life, review your transformation, review your choices, and wherever Scorpio is in your chart, that's probably where you've felt this the most. But it could also have to do with people moving because Jupiter's involved in Cancer, and Jupiter's exalted. It's the most exalted planet in the sky right now. So there could be lots of people moving. I don't think we're the only ones, Bright Hawk. And so, Jupiter in Cancer is, that's what it's about. It's about moving. Okay. And Cancer is retrograde. And sorry, Jupiter is retrograde in Cancer. And Cancer is also about patriotism. It's about your home. It's about where you live. It's also about your country, your neighborhood, right? Okay. And so where is Cancer in your chart? Are you reviewing that? Are you revisiting that? And we definitely are taking a look at what real patriotism is and what it really means to be an American and what America is to most of us. I think a lot of us have been going through that both personally and we're going through that publicly. So if you happen to be an American, I think I don't think you could have your head in the sand, even if you wanted to right now. And I think most of us have had some sort of struggle with what's happening in the government. And if your head's in the sand, there's probably a good reason for it, right? It's because of the terrible things that are happening or the scary things that are happening. And so as a result, I think a lot of us have taken that reflection during this Jupiter retrograde, which it will continue to be retrograde until March, and it will continue to speak to that. And that's part of that Grand Trine too. It's meant to make us think about what it really means to be American and what we want our country to really be about. Do we really want to completely remove every Latino person in America? Is that really what we want? I think most of us would disagree with that. Okay. Especially if you're listening to this podcast. And I'm just saying. And then we also have had Saturn retrograde and it's been traveling with Neptune. And this is part of the great reveal. It has been retrograde. It has made us think about our system. Has made us sort of review old news, revisit old news, which of course is the Epstein files. And with that Saturn and Neptune traveling together, it has slowly revealed every time Saturn and Neptune get far, like more than about 3 degrees apart from each other, something else comes to the surface. Something else happens in the great reveal. And every time, and now what's going to happen is Saturn's going to go direct and go back over, and we'll talk about that when we get there. But in the beginning of the week, you can understand that most of the intensity of your Mercury retrograde has probably already happened, and now you're headed towards the resolution. Thank goodness, because we had a busted pipe. Okay. And I'm like, of course we had a busted pipe. It's Mercury retrograde. Okay. So now we're going forward. And as we're going forward with this Grand Trine, and I'm so glad we even got the guy here on a Friday night. Poor guy, but he was nice enough to work until like 6 o'clock on a Friday night. Hey, maybe he needed the cash. I don't know. But, he was nice enough to fix it for us. And it was great that they had a person available to come fix our pipes. I mean, you have to admit that came together pretty easily, especially since they came on the same day. That's pretty much a miracle where I live because of where I live. So that's an example of things, even though I had a problem, the busted pipe, if things still came together easily, right? And that we've had other projects going on, that other things have happened, that there were problems, yes, but things came together easily. And it may have felt really intense, but I could tell that there was a Grand Trine, that the universe was working in our favor. I even had like back to back, like all kinds of like appointments and do this and do that. And somehow it all worked out. Even sometimes people were late, even when I was double scheduled and things like that. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that works. Or someone called and said, can I come early? And I'm like, that would be great, actually. And so, because I had 2 people scheduled in the same hour. So these are examples of how the Grand Trine kind of helps you, right? It's the universe helping you through this Mercury retrograde. So what has happened to you in this Mercury retrograde? What's been going on in your life? And how did the Grand Trine help you? How did it support you? Did it bring exactly the tools that you needed? Did it bring the money you needed or something else that you needed? Maybe it gifted you even a message, because Mercury is involved, right? So it could even be communication or a message or maybe, a ride or whatever it was, whatever you've been dealing with. Hopefully you've gotten a gift from the universe. So I just want you to recognize those gifts. It's always important to acknowledge them because then you get more of them. And also you recognize your own blessing and privilege and the good things that do come to you. So I think that that's where we can start. And I think, Bright Hawk, you were saying that there's a Capricorn moon, right? That's part of the story this week.
Well, the first thing I want to point out, when you look at this chart, you can tell it's a busy chart, can't you? And one of the things that we've been talking a lot about is Mercury, but I want to point out there's a perfect conjunction of Mercury and Venus at 22 degrees in Scorpio. Now, when Venus is in Scorpio, she is in detriment. It's not a strong placement. Why? Because Venus is opposite where she resides in Taurus. And so this chart has some significant oppositions in it. So the first one I'm going to point out, because I like to talk about the moon, because it impacts all of us. The moon is currently in Capricorn on Monday, and when the moon is in Capricorn, it's as far away from its home, which is Cancer, as it can be. So it's not strong, it's weak, and it doesn't really care for Capricorn. So it is a difficult placement that way, and it's in a T-square to Chiron. So what does that mean? Well, a T-square is an opposition, and then the square at the top is who's facilitating the conversation. The conversation is about healing. What needs to heal? What is transforming? What is in the process of healing? And when the moon is on Monday, the moon is opposite Jupiter, and it's going to conjunct Pluto later, but right now we're talking about it's opposite Jupiter. Jupiter amplifies things, and Chiron is the facilitator of that conversation. So something's rising to the surface that really needs to be addressed from a healing perspective. It's probably uncomfortable. T-squares tend to be uncomfortable. I know all about this. I have significant T-squares in my chart. And I've been feeling this energy since yesterday for sure, because it is just uncomfortable. So embrace your opportunity to heal, as uncomfortable as it may be. You can do it. We can do hard things. We never heal we never grow when we're comfortable. I'm afraid to say every wise teacher will tell you it is when the heat gets turned up that we tend to have to grow up, so to speak. And this is one of those configurations. Now, the other thing that's happening with the moon is that it's sextiling that Mercury-Venus that we've been talking about, that's conjunct. And then the other piece of the oppositions is we've talked a lot about the finger of God, or a yod, which is two inconjuncts. It's an opposition, but it's moved over one. So it's 150 degrees across, not 180, right? So Venus is in conjunct with Chiron as well. So it feels to me like you have three different things pointing to Venus, Chiron, Mercury. We're involving Jupiter, which is going to make it bigger. We're involving the moon, which is going to make it more emotional. And pretty soon the moon will conjunct Pluto, which is all about transformation. I think we can see what's going on there. We're being asked to transform. We're being asked to grow up. We're being asked to stretch into something new. Now, the other thing I want to point out is one more opposition. Now, we always have an opposition between the North Node and the South Node. Those are the luminaries of the moon, right? Well, in this case, we have Mars at the top of that conversation. So we call it Mars at the crossroads, squaring the nodes. And what that means is almost exactly what I just said. In astrology, when we look at charts, we tend to find themes that don't just show up once, they show up 3 or 4 times. So with Mars involved, you're at the crossroads. You're being asked to take action, because that's what Mars is. And the nodes represent the past and the future. You can no longer carry on the way it was, and you're starting to see where you need to go. And Mars is saying, okay, what's the right thing to do here? Okay, you got to do something. And it's in fiery Sag, right? Excuse me.
Yeah, so I was looking at that T square, Bright Hawk. That T square between between the moon, Jupiter, and then squaring Chiron. And remember how I just accidentally kind of noticed that it's the same exact T square that we had back, I think it was like October 29th, which was actually just before Mercury went retrograde. And it actually, I think it's because now Jupiter is retrograde and then Chiron has been retrograde. And so now they're kind of coming into, they're not, and plus they're slow moving. And then the moon is back at 22 degrees Cap a month later. And so I'm wondering, and this would speak to probably what happened just before the Mercury retrograde, whatever was going on just before the Mercury retrograde, that maybe you're coming back to that. Maybe somehow you're coming back to what your original intention was before, that actually might have to do with, because it's Jupiter in Cancer, that's going to have to do with home and reviewing where is home and how do we make home and what does home mean to us, including things like patriotism and stuff like that. And then Chiron is your healing. It's in Aries. And so that's very much speaks to that Mars that you just said was in a square to the north and south node. So then we come to that taking action about where you're going, what you're leaving behind, and being ready to head towards your, especially with the north node in Pisces, it's like take action towards where you know you're supposed to go, where Saturn is about to go direct, which I think speaks to a lot of the energy this week of sort of, okay, you're going to do this, and then you're going to do this, and then you're going to do this, and then you're going to do this, and wham, you'll be where you need to be. Congratulations. And I really feel like the universe is literally doing that. It's like holding our hand while we're 1 year old learning to walk. When you hold a little baby's hand, if you've ever done that, you've held a child's hand while they're learning to walk, maybe with another person. And that's pretty much what, or maybe you've held them like right in front of you, where you kind of hold them in front of you and walk right behind them. And you help them one step, next step, one step, next step. And that's essentially what the universe is doing for us right now. I really feel like that's what's happening. Like it's really helping us take the next step. And I really feel like that's what Monday is all about. It's lining us up to take the next steps, right? Towards completion. And as we get into Tuesday, we can see that Venus and Mercury have now switched positions. Venus has moved over top of Mercury because Mercury is still going backwards. Venus is a pretty quick moving planet. And, she's headed towards the sun. And with Mercury going backwards, I feel like the two of them dancing, it could have something to do with money. It could also have other things to do with, it's interesting because I was just reviewing some credit card things. And I was like, wait a minute. So I'm just saying, like, that could have a lot to do with like reviewing money, because Venus rules money. And Mercury retrograde is very much like, look at your credit card statements, you guys. Look at your debit card statements. Make sure you're not getting overcharged. Make sure you're being charged the right amount. Make sure you look at your receipts and things like that. Those are really important because I just found an overcharge. I just found a way. I have found two things so far that in this Mercury in the last like couple of days that have led me to go, oh, I'm being overcharged. So I have to call and handle it. But it's, you have to call and handle it. It's a pain in the butt, but you have to. But it's part of the Mercury retrograde. So I do want to say that since Venus and Scorpio for me rules my first and second house, so it might have a little to do with that, because Scorpio rules my house of money. But for you, it could also, because Venus rules money, it could definitely have something to do with that as well. So you might want to be paying attention to that. And technically, Venus also rules relationships. So you want to make sure that you are getting, that you are clear in relationships. If you're having relationship struggles, there might be some communication. You might want to just slow down on the communication. You might want to take an extra minute to explain things, or to recognize if an argument or something like that breaks out, that there could be more to the story. Maybe you need to take a minute. Maybe there's something you don't understand. With Mercury retrograde, there's usually a misunderstanding, unless it's an ongoing problem. Unless you have that problem like all the time, then the universe might be saying, are you sure you want to be in this relationship? That could absolutely be happening to you. Okay. And if that's happening, be ready to walk away. Be ready to give up this toxic relationship. Okay. And I feel like that's like the big thing on Tuesday is the money and the Mercury retrograde. That's what you're going to be dealing with.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, and plus whatever you've been dealing with anyway, but you'll start to find resolution, like why I got overcharged for this. I shouldn't have been charged for this, or whatever it is. You should work with that. Okay. And then, as we move.
So on
Go ahead.
Tuesday, the moon moves into Aquarius. Just so you know, folks, this week, some weeks we have really big void of course moons where they go all day, and I'd love to know how they impact you. This week, the void of course moons are tiny, 1 hour or less. So when they're that small, I don't even put them in the chart because you won't even notice them. I want to make sure we're talking about this most significant energies everybody's going to have to work with. So it's always very interesting to me when the lunar cycles, they change, obviously, daily, and seeing when the void of course moons become really big and then when they sort of shrink back, and how long those intervals are in between. So that's part of what's going on this week overall with the moon. Hopefully you made new moon wishes last week on the Scorpio new moon, because that was a very potent new moon. And now we're waxing into a crescent, and on Wednesday, the moon, Thursday it's square, so no, never mind. It's still in Aquarius on Wednesday.
I just wanted to add to the void of course moon thing, Bright Hawk, is that when I notice when there's not really a lot of void of course moons, we're going at a pretty fast pace most of the time. And then the void moon tends to slow things down, or stall things, or just kind of quiet things down, which can be a relief sometimes. Sometimes I remember in the beginning of this Mercury retrograde, it was kind of on the frustrating side, because it was like, and we're like, oh my God, right? Like you feel like you're getting dragged or something. And yeah. And then once there's no void moons, you kind of feel like you're just running along, and maybe sometimes too busy. But then when the void moons come back, you kind of get breaks from that busy energy, and it slows down a little bit, and it becomes more rhythmic. I'm just saying, as something I've been noticing in the last couple of years, that we've been really watching the void of course moon. And astrology is observatory. This is how astrology works. This is how you study astrology. Astrologers will tell you that one of the best ways to learn astrology is to get your chart and listen to a broadcast like this and other broadcasts like it, and hear what's going on and understand where that's happening in your chart so that you can plug in, so that you can understand what's happening. So this is how you learn astrology. So if you're listening to us right now or regularly, you can know that this is how you learn it. Okay. So pay attention to what's going on. Take notes, make notes in your calendar, journal. Sometimes, also, if you're like, I don't know what was happening back on October 28th, 27th, 28th, 29th, I want to invite you to go back and look on your calendar, see what you were doing that day. Look at your pictures, look at your credit card receipts, things like that. And I bet you'll remember what you were doing. And that's going, and then that will have a reflection of what happens on Tuesday. Okay. And on, go ahead.
I just realized that for us, the plumbing problem, I think the last one was happening right as Mercury went retrograde. It feels like it's been like barely a month between the plumbing problem we had on Friday and the different plumbing problem we had about a month ago. And I'm like, oh my God. You can't make this stuff up, you guys.
Yeah,
Because Scorpio's a water sign, if you're keeping up. And so Mercury in Scorpio, water sign. And
we even had the same guy work on it.
Right. Charged us the same amount, which was a lot of money. Oy. Oy. But you see how strong that the blue triangle is. Now there's a little less noise and other things to look at. On Wednesday, the Venus becomes the 24 degrees. So if you're looking at your chart, if you have your chart, if you have placements at 24 degrees, that's what this Grand Trine in water is resonating at. 24 Pisces, Scorpio, 25 Pisces, Saturn, and 24 Cancer, Jupiter. So if you have placements at 24 degrees, they're going to be resonating with this Grand Trine in water.
Yeah, I'm very aware of that 24 degrees.
Me too, because I have Mercury at 24.
At 24 Scorpio? No.
Sag.
Yeah, 24 Scorpio is my north node. So it's going to depend on what planet it's on for you. And that would be 24 in any water sign is definitely, you're going to feel it. Okay. Mm-hmm. So and that could be in Cancer, and it could also be like 24, 25, 26, 27, all the way to 30, 24 through 29, even the 23, you're probably still going to notice it. Because Neptune's at 29, Saturn's at 25, Jupiter's at 24, Mercury's at 21. So you're going to feel it this week, but it should be things coming together easily for you. It should be the universe gifting you things to help you through this process. It's important that you go through this process, even if you are having problems, even if things are coming up like broken pipes, broken down cars, whatever it is. Okay. And I feel like we're also experiencing the great reveal, which will probably see a shift this week in the way that we're receiving information, because Saturn's going to go direct. Now, what does that mean? So let's talk about this. This has been going on all year. And if you listen to this forecast, I've been talking about the great reveal. That's my word. I came up with it. Okay. The great reveal is pretty much what's been going on this entire year and will go on until spring of 26. And essentially, it is Saturn and Neptune moving together. And the reason it's the great reveal is, first of all, Saturn is a huge planet. It rules over a lot of things, including the system, meaning our government and the world. It rules over our rules in our life and how our life is structured, our boundaries, our karmic, our karmic contracts and things like that. You'll see Saturn involved in karmic contracts. And then you'll also see Saturn involved in things that have to do with like teaching or lessons. That's why in your Saturn returns, you learn a lot, right? That's between the ages of 27 and 30. That's when Saturn returns to the place it was where you were born. If you're ending your Saturn returns now or starting yours, I've seen a few people recently that are experiencing a Saturn returns, and it is a very intense experience. You should definitely see an astrologer if you're anywhere near your Saturn returns before, during, and after. Gosh, I wish I had had a great astrologer at my fingertips during my Saturn returns. It would have been so much easier to navigate. It would have made so much more sense. Good grief. So if you have access and if you have the ability, please come see me. Even if you might be short on funds or something, there's other ways that I'll work with you, especially if you're having a hard time. Saturn turns direct on this day on Thursday. We'll probably feel it maybe even right before, because Saturn will slow down. It may feel like nothing is happening, but something is happening behind the scenes because Saturn's going to go direct. Now, Saturn is 4 degrees away from Neptune right now. And every time it gets more than a couple degrees away from Neptune, something else is revealed. And in this time, it got farther away. We got the whole Epstein file thing. And now that it's going direct, I'm pretty sure that they're going to vote to reveal it or whatever. That will come through and some sort of information will be revealed. Now, at some point in the coming weeks in December, Saturn will meet with Neptune again. So things will probably get hidden. Every time Saturn and Neptune are together, things are often hidden. But the interesting thing is when Neptune is retrograde, we sometimes tend to see through that hidden. But especially while Neptune is in Pisces, we don't see it as clearly. But Saturn's going to move faster than Neptune. So this is where we're going to get some things revealed to us. We might figure some parts of it out, but we really won't know the complete truth until February, March of 26. Okay. And so that's when we're really going to go. Okay, and we're going to really see things for what they are. We're really going to see the truth in our system. We're really going to see the truth in our worlds. We're really going to see the truth around our karma or our karmic contracts. If you have any of those, you'll probably become more deeply aware of those. You'll become more aware of teaching or teacher. If you are a teacher, maybe you'll become more aware of what you're teaching or how important that teaching is. Or maybe there'll be some other great reveal depending on where Pisces is for you. So where is Pisces in your chart? Take a look at that. And that will have that, whatever it's in, it will probably speak to that house. It could be 2 houses. It will speak to both of those houses and how those speak to you and how those work for you. And I think that that's really important thing for you to understand, because as Saturn reveals things for you, it could be like, there could be moments of like, oh my God. Okay. And it's not a bad thing, but you'll just have sudden realizations. I've had realizations when Neptune went retrograde. I had some pretty intense realizations in Pisces. Okay. And so every time Saturn was in Aries when it went retrograde. And when it did that, I was very aware of my health, and Aries rules my house of health. Okay. Now it won't move back into Aries until the spring, but Neptune is in its rulership in Pisces. So right now it's still retrograde and will be for the rest of the week, but Saturn is going to go direct. So that means that people are going to start trying to reveal things. They're going to start pushing for things to be revealed. They're going to start kicking down the sandcastle or trying to rebuild it in a different area, because that's what Saturn in Pisces is. It's a sandcastle, because Pisces is like the ocean, right? It's like the waters, and Saturn is the system. It is the building in which we function. And then when you have Saturn in Pisces, it's like a sandcastle. And when Saturn was retrograde, it's like the water came up and washed away the whole side of your sandcastle, and now it's gone, and what was there before is no longer there. And now what, right? Okay. And then what's going to happen is someone's going to come along with a new sandcastle and put it up. But remember, these are sandcastles. This is not Saturn in Aries yet. We are in Saturn in Pisces. So these are just temporary fixes. They are just temporary dealings with a bigger issue. And the bigger issue, I think, is obvious for any of us that are paying attention. But also, even in your everyday life, these are just small resolutions, or a temporary resolution to a bigger vision, a bigger understanding, a bigger reveal. Okay. And I think that that's an important part of what you should come to understand. And with Venus and Mercury moving away from each other, Venus is about to jump on out of Scorpio and enter into Sagittarius, where it will be much more comfortable. Be careful of spending your money, though, because you could go overboard. But for the holidays and stuff. So, but with Venus in Scorpio, it is still speaking to money and to relationships, and but it's moving away from Mercury retrograde. So I feel like that Mercury retrograde energy is moving away, but it is part of the Grand Trine. We're still having the Grand Trine, and Saturn and Neptune are part of that Grand Trine. So even though we're going, oh my gosh, with the Epstein files, we're also watching it all come together very easily, right? And so that will also be happening in your life. That's exactly what's going to happen, is that there's going to be some sort of realization, or some sort of like, oh, okay, because as Saturn goes forward, or something will finally click into place. If you've been trying to get something to work, when Saturn goes direct, I think it will get better. Especially, it may not happen exactly on that day, which is Thursday, but it could happen like either that week or the following week. Saturn's a bigger planet, so you have to give it more time to deliver what it means. And this is the last time that Saturn will be in Pisces for quite some time. This is the end of the Saturn Pisces transit. So this is the end of building sandcastles for a while, okay? And which I'm glad to hear to some degree. I'm kind of like, okay, well, if we're going to fight about it, let's just get it over with and go to Aries and get it done, okay? But because I feel like we've been building sandcastles for quite some time now. And we have. Saturn's been in Pisces for a while, years, and it's finally going to head on out. And I think that that's really great. I think it's like 3 years, right, Brett Hawk? It's like
30 years.
No, yeah, I know it won't be back for 30 years, but I think it spends about 3-ish years in each sign.
Yeah.
That's how long it's been in Pisces. So for the last 3 years, Saturn has been in Pisces. So if you have something in Pisces and you're like, oh my God, Hollis, when will this end? You're probably coming to an end now. Okay. If you are in your Saturn returns and your Saturn is in Pisces, this is the end of your Saturn returns, probably, or towards the end, or the beginning of the end, depending on what degree your Saturn is at. Okay. And so, or if you have Sun in Pisces, this is starting to put things together in a good way for you. It's starting to help you find the puzzle pieces you need to complete your picture. That's what Saturn does. It helps place structure together that works for you. And that's really what the Saturn forward is going to bring for us in the coming weeks. And so that's Saturn forward. I think that's the big the big to-who on Thursday is really and I think it's going to be the theme of the whole week, really, is that we're finding resolution to things, right? I mean, I think that's really going to be the biggest energy for the whole week.
And then
Right. And so then at that point, once we have both Saturn and Mercury direct, we're really starting to feel like things are coming together. Look, we're finally getting this together. This is finally happening. This is okay. The pieces are fitting. Wow, these puzzle pieces fit together. Wow, the universe was not hurting me. Wow. Okay. I think we got this. And that's really what it's going to feel like. I think we got this. And it's going to feel more hopeful and more positive. You're going to feel like you've made the emotional and energetic shifts. You're going to feel like you're moving in the right direction. It might still be a little bit slow and you still might have some things to take care of, but things are going to start feeling like they're clicking together. And I think that's the part that is going to feel good. I think that's the part that's going to feel like, and there's so many trines and so much. There is a lot of things. There is continuously still, what's this? Okay, there's still Mars and Lilith in a square to the nodes. So, you're still going to have to be taking action. It's not like you're going to be able to lean back and put your feet up. It's more like you're taking action and it's working. It's more like, wow, what I'm doing is actually working and we're moving on. It's going, it's happening. Okay. So by the time we get to the end of next week, at the end of this week, you're going to feel so much better. Things are going to be coming together. You're going to feel like there is a beginning to this end. Okay. Wow. Yeah. You're going to feel like you're coming to an end, to a completion, I think. And I think Sunday actually quiets down a little bit because Mars won't be in such a square. The trine is backing off. Mercury is gone direct now. We can finally feel like we've resolved most of our issues. And if you know that the astrology, because you've been listening to this podcast, you will know that you're out of Mercury retrograde and that things are headed in the right direction and that you're on the right track. And I think that that's the important message of the week.
Absolutely.
All right.
Wow. What a week it's going to be. Hopefully it'll be a really blessed week with that Grand Trine energy. Energy will move together really easily. And it's a waxing moon, so the energy is building. It's a building phase. So fingers crossed it goes well for you. I don't doubt that everyone is feeling challenged in this moment. And understandable. This has not been easy energy. The Scorpio new moon with opposite Uranus, beginning the Mercury retrograde, all of it just felt, just so much. Let us know in the comments how have you survived. I'm realizing that this plumbing issues on either side of this Mercury retrograde is like, oh my God, you just can't make this stuff up. So before we finish, we're going to get a reading from Hollis from the Tarot, because the Tarot has an incredible way of once again emphasizing some of the same similar themes and help us navigate the week. And hopefully you appreciate what the cards have to say.
All right. Now, as we pull 3 cards for everyone listening to this podcast and for everyone chiming in, these 3 cards are very much about what's coming up for us this week. Let's first talk about what has happened. We've made. Ooh, that's not working very well, is it?
Yeah, there, stop. Yeah, you got it.
Okay. So this is the Chariot card, and this card is very much about making choices. Maybe you've had to make a choice at the beginning of this Mercury retrograde, or even over the last week or whatever. Last week, especially when Mercury retrograde really intensified, Thursday, Friday, you had to make a choice. And this is about that choice. This is about that choice, and this is also about travel and what you've been thinking about travel, and this is in regards to travel. So this is your thoughts, your choices, and things like that in regards to that. And in the present, we actually have this card, which is very much about strength. Okay. Now, this is the Knight of Pentacles. This is about nurturing. This is about nurturing sort of protective energy. It tends to be very strong about holding, because it's a seahorse. It's about holding your creations within and trudging forward in a very protective, strong way. And as you're going forward, this is very much about, holding your own and using your resources to the best of your ability in the best way possible. And I think that that's really important. And as you're going forward this week, as you're trudging through and finding completion and finding success in all that you're doing, this is the Moon card. This is your future. This is very much about what will be coming up for you. And this is very much about all the good things that will be coming up, your intuition. And this is even in relation to like motherhood or mothering, or holding emotional balance for people. Holding emotional balance that's really gentle and caressing and earthy. That's really what the Moon card is about. It's also about intuition. So make sure you listen to your intuition this week, especially as we get into the weekend, as Saturn goes direct. Especially if Saturn direct in your chart, then you want to be paying more attention to your intuition, because it's usually speaking to any kind of karmic contracts you might be having. And so with the Moon, with the Moon card, this is very much about where we're headed and your intuition headed in that direction. So remember, the choices that you've made have been very important and pertinent. They do matter. The choices that you make do matter, and they will influence as you move forward and the strength in which you move forward in. And as you're moving forward with that strength and that sort of aptitude and precision, because seahorses are very much like that, and using your resources, they do matter, because they will help you manifest your main vision, your intuition, and you will be rewarded for listening to the universe and following and flowing with these energies in the sky and being able to connect with Mother Earth. All right. All right, everyone. Well, I appreciate you being here with us today. I appreciate you tuning in. And I appreciate you being part of this. We appreciate your comments. We'd love to hear about your Mercury retrograde. What's been going on for you? What's happening in your world?
Yeah.
How did that Grand Trine show up for you?
And thanks so much for sharing, liking. We really appreciate your support. We send you lots of love, and I wish you a very great week. Thanks for listening to Rainbow Soulstrology, where we try to be a bridge between you and the stars. Have a great week.
Thanks so much for spending time with us this week. We hope you're feeling more connected to the cosmic energies and ready to work with them in your daily life. If you enjoyed today's show, please hit the subscribe button. It really helps us reach more people who could use some cosmic guidance. And don't forget to share this episode with anyone who might need to hear it. We love hearing from you, so drop a comment, let us know what resonated most or what you would like covered next week. Your questions and feedback make our show better. Want to join us live? Subscribe! And catch us on Facebook and YouTube, where you can ask questions in real time and be part of our cosmic community as it happens. Until next week, trust your intuition, follow your inner wisdom, and remember, the stars are always supporting your journey. Thanks for listening to Rainbow Soulstrology, where we try to be a bridge between you and the stars.